staging. Settings. That's a big topic. Here you are in Berlin at the Theatre. Is a good moderator came up. There wasn't a jingle. It was nice and quiet. Everything's being recorded. The very first ways of staging something is to really involve the entire room. So if you're looking at the mise en scène, at the staging, trying to get attention, reach out to the audience. And this is being sent out around the entire world. And if you look on the screen and see what's happening in the room, you're much more interested if you see, oh, things are really exciting in Berlin. So this is being live streamed right now as we speak. Let me come down into the audience so you can see and feel the difference. Let's take a look at how this sort of thing can begin. If I walk up to the front, I'm moderated and introduced off screen. 80,000 people. Now, I don't look like Robbie Williams. I can't sing like him either. But I'm going to give you a presentation which I hope is more or less the same. Ladies and gentlemen, who does something like this with my Günter Mainka?
Hallo Berlin!
Hello Berlin! Hello everybody at home on the screens. It's great that there's so many of you here today. This is the Maiste. It's so important. You'll see that so many people standing at the back because the seating capacity in this room just doesn't suffice for this huge crowd. So I'm number 5. All of the 4 last speakers have given great presentations, and now we're looking at staging. We're going to have an interactive presentation, and interactive presentations mean involving the audience using the most straightforward methods. Questions, for example. Put a question, see how the audience responds. So what does staging mean? It's actually quite straightforward. I'm staging something, creating a mise en scène, orchestrating it to get as much attention as possible. Attention for the message that I am trying to convey, perhaps for a party, perhaps for a message, for a company, for myself. So there's also the idea of people trying to attract attention to themselves in this sort of staging, but any kind of staging is based on a very straightforward rule. Introduction, main section, and the end. So they're always narrating a story. It always has the same story. If you look at a film or a play, it always has an introduction, a main section, and an end. And you here in the room can get involved with this. So, of everybody here, who has already staged something? Put your hand up if you have. Not so many people. 25.72% approximately people who have staged something. Everybody else apparently hasn't yet. Now, you might sometimes think that a lot more people would have done this. So let me just make sure that I've understood this. Which one of you, how many of you in fact, are in a steady relationship or married? Put your hand up. Oh, lots of people. And how many of you are in love? It's just like the last question. Oh, somebody put his hand up 30 seconds later. Yes, yes, I'm in love too. Yes, yes. His girlfriend's there, breathing down his neck. She must have given him a nudge in the ribs. So I would say, actually, I bet all of you have created a staging of yourself at some point. Because if you're in a steady relationship, or you're married, or you're in love, you've staged yourself. You've presented yourself to the world. For example, on Parship or any other such dating site, you don't just get involved with a date there and just go along to the date. You get ready. You look for a nice suit, shirt, preferably ironed, and you get your hair sorted out. You prepare. That's the introduction. And then comes the main section. You meet the person, man, woman, whatever. And then you try to present yourself as well as possible. I probably won't start picking my nose while having dinner. I try to do everything I can to create a very positive self-staging so that I don't end up going home alone at the end of the evening. Have any of you ever had this feeling, really getting prepared for a date? Who has never got prepared for a date? Which one of you has never ever got prepared for a date? That's logical, isn't it? You get prepared, you get ready. So you have already done this kind of staging, this kind of presentation. I know some women who spend 3 hours doing their self-staging in front of the mirror. They get everything all sorted out and then they go off. So if you want to stage something, to present an image for your firm, it's always based on the same rule. Introduction, main section, end. And above all, you have a plot point that you use. Which of you looked at the advertising film? Did you see it on Facebook beforehand? How many of you saw the presentation? My core message there was the following. If you saw this, they said, well, if you come to my presentation, you can do anything, but there's something you shouldn't do. Don't sit in the very last row. Just don't. Did any of you actually see that video, the one sort of sitting in the back row? Okay, well, I hope you have fun, those of you who are sitting at the back then. In that case, that's a plot point. Just the same with MacIver. With MacIver, you see a situation. He's stuck somewhere, or he's moving, and he's got a screwdriver, and he can do something very special with the screwdriver. And at first it doesn't make any sense, but afterwards when he's stuck somewhere and there's a screwdriver lying on the floor, you think, he's going to take that screwdriver and release himself. So that's what I mean, the plot point. I said, do me a favour, don't sit in the back row, whatever you do. Now, the back row is a bit confused. There's people standing right at the back. They saw that video. And everyone's going to be wondering what on earth is going to happen to the poor back row. And that's exactly the point. If you have a screenplay after 20 minutes, something happens. You can set your watch to it. Something has to happen after 20 minutes. There's only one where there's no dramatic art. That's the famous German crime program, Tatort. I mean, there's so many Tatort fans. They love that program here in Germany. Anyway, that's what I had to say about staging, about the mise en scène. Let me explain how that, in the traditional sense, links up to what we have in MICE. Now, you always have the producer or the director general of the theatre, and they're the ones who are in charge of what happens in film, TV, or indeed in a play. And afterwards, along comes the director, the playwright, and then comes the audience. They're the ones who decide whether it's a success or not. Watching TV, watching a film, and they're the ones who decide. Sitting in the theatre, just the same. What about in the MICE sector, where I guess all of you are from, most of you anyway? We've got our CEOs, we've got our managing directors, your bosses, the people who are in charge, who are responsible, and who entrust you with getting something set up, staging it, presenting it, because at the end of the day, along comes the client. And they'll decide whether it's any good. That's what it's all about. Everything comes together in all of this. So let's take a look. The managers up there generally don't have any idea about how MICE actually functions. That's why you have that department. But if the managing director, the CEO, has to go to this red spot in the middle, being on the stage, being in a place in the spotlight, they will be staged there, they will be presented, or 10 million is spent by a producer, but he doesn't know whether the screenwriter and the director are going to really work properly and make the audience happy. Pulp Fiction's funding with Quentin Tarantino was fascinating. They weren't at all sure whether Tarantino was really going to do his job well. Because Tarantino is, after all, completely crazy. And is it always really going to work to have Pulp Fiction working with this kind of Russian dolls structure. Is it really going to work? So when you're staging something, you are all Quentin Tarantinos, every single one of you. The question is, do you have the courage, for example, to have long dialogues? If you're responsible for a product, do you have the guts to do something unconventional? And that's really where it all starts. And afterwards, I'll be explaining to you why it's important. Why is it important to be courageous, to be bold enough to do something differently? Quentin Tarantino managed. He's now become a famous director. Ridley Scott with Gladiator had very rapid editing where you couldn't see who was doing what to whom, when, and who was hitting whom with the whip. He was the very first one to switch to these rapid editing. He was very successful. Gladiator won an Oscar, so he was pretty successful. But you don't know beforehand. And in your sector too, beforehand you don't know whether your staging is working well. You only know if it works if you do it. That's the crux of the matter. So, you're really out on a limb when you take this kind of decision. Now, then you might say, well, why do you have to have this kind of stage? You can have a white room, a hotel, a beamer. We'll all go there and sit down and everything will be fine and dandy. Why do we have to do something special? Why should we be striking? Well, there's always one key point. If you want to be successful in this area that I've shown you, if you want to ensure that your clients, your guests really appreciate what you've done, if you want them to come back again when you invite them, you have to trigger sensory memories amongst your audience. What that means is that the event, the message over here on the left, has to be staged and presented so well that it arrives in the brain of your clients. And the first hurdle is sensory memory. Then comes the short-term memory. We all want to end up with our product in the long-term memory. It's just like when you're on a date. When you have a date, you want, ultimately, to be successful with the person that you've seen on this date. You want to get into their short-term memory at the very least, and if it's a marriage, you want to get into their long-term memory. So, that is the crux of the matter. You've understood this, but how do you do it in practice? That's what you want me to tell you now. How can you do this if you don't have a budget that runs to millions? And if you've got millions, you can get directors, you can get dramaturgists from the theatre to come along, and everybody will say, that was absolutely amazing. But we tend not to know which of you have got millions in your budgets in the corporate events section. Nobody puts their hand up there, do they? Why? Well, if they did, everybody would rush over and give them visiting cards. Generally, though, we do have smaller budgets, and that's where creativity comes into play. So sensory memory is very important. We need to make sure that at least the event becomes anchored there. Because the point is that nowadays, clients think, well, will I bother to go to this event, or will I lie on my nice couch? I can't come along. Well, of course, they could come if they wanted to, but they say to themselves, no, it's boring, it's always the same thing, I won't bother. And then the big question is, how do you create that? The event planners had an idea last year. We said, we'll do something. We'll invite people along, we'll do something completely crazy, where guests come, maybe because the venue is interesting. We had a very strange and exciting location in Düren, in a former insane asylum. Now, there's some places that people don't necessarily want to go and they've never been, and they hope they'll never end up there, actually. There's prisons, for example. They're in that category. But the point is, if you come up with the right content, where everything is inverted, it's turned on its head, you remember something, you notice something, sensory memory, and that's why we select this. Number one tip for finding this, take a look around, see if you can find a location scout from the film business. They know the most crazy locations where you'd never ever go. Pay them a fee, pay them a commission, they'll help you find this kind of thing. They can say, well, George Clooney shot there, we felt that. We noticed that there was an espresso in the corner when we arrived, so we could tell Clooney had been there. Anyway, it was a very fascinating event, very impressive. And the participants were really impressed. It really was a former insane asylum from the 19th century, 18th, 19th century. A pavilion for 48 crazy criminals is what it said on the architect's blueprint, and so we invited precisely the same number of participants along as well. So choose a somewhat offbeat location, get a location, scout, or have a look at Philo. There's all kinds of different ways that you can find the right venue. Now, some people say, well, maybe we want to do something and do team building. But generally, you end up doing acrobatics in Lidl's car park, a little bit esoteric, but imagine you have two companies coming together, a merger, and they have to get to know each other. The teams have to get to know each other, and it's quite possible that there's going to be staff shed as well. It's the mood is absolutely awful. It's as if everybody had to have a compulsory vaccination, but there's a straightforward method that always works. Beforehand, get photos from the HR departments, or get them directly from the people participating and send them to the room. Everybody gets an envelope, and in each envelope there's a photo of a person, and they have to find that person in the room. And they've got 10 minutes to find the person, talk to the person. Everybody says something about where they come from, who they are, what their background is, on the basis of these photos. This kind of photos we're thinking about. And you can imagine the acoustics in these rooms. There's a real buzz. People are laughing. There's a real mood. And they say, oh my gosh, you really had a ridiculous haircut then. And that is a very nice way to get to know each other. It's a humorous level. Try it out. Initially, people think, oh yes, great. Our Works Council is going to have something against that. They're going to complain. They won't go along with that. And the question is, have you actually asked them? Do you know the answer without even asking? We did this straightforward thing several times already. It always works. But we tend, first of all, to come up with 10 reasons not to do something, because the Works Council or somebody might say that we've never done it like this before. So if you're having a warm-up session or something similar and you want to stage that, have a good presentation, take old photos of your colleagues, you can write to them via a mailing list as well and ask them to send them directly. It doesn't really matter how you organize it, but try it out. Now, I always like to do something that's live in the room. We've got a so-called Wolf Micro here. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to shoot it into the audience when the time comes. That's the thing when you're sitting at the front. Oh, no, don't worry, I'm not going to do that. I'll throw it into the room, and you'll see how it works. Somebody will catch it, and then we'll see. And you can talk into it, so everybody in the room can say something. So it works very well. Thank you to the technical department. A sensory live experience. Just imagine, here we are, just imagine that we're all a company, and this is our conference room. The question is, which company do we stand for? I'm going to write down some terms, 3 or 4, come up with a term, an idea, where you think that that might be present in the room. I don't know, a term like diving fins. I guess that's unlikely, but imagine it's something that's in the room. Shout it out, nice and loud. Not all at once. Not all at once. Coffee. Okay. Coffee's pretty probable. There probably is some coffee lurking somewhere in this room. You said coffee. Usually in Berlin, everybody's talking about latte macchiato and all that stuff. So, capacity. There's an interesting word.
Kapazität. Davon haben wir hier einiges hier im Raum. Sehr schön.
So, yes, we've certainly got capacity in the room. What else? Lamp oil. And lounge furniture. That's what you said. I thought you said lamp oil. Sounds a bit the same in German. Vaguely so. Lamp oil. How did I think of that? So, lounge furniture. Soft furnishings. What else? Electroshock devices. Somebody probably comes from Hooligan Control background there.
Elektroschocker.
Electroshock device. Fine. Another term. Mobile phone.
Wir machen es mal ein.
So let's pick which one we want to stage. Who's in favour of coffee? Capacity? Who's in favour of lounge furniture? Electroshock device? Raise your hand. Yes, I knew that would be popular. And mobile phones, we can forget about them. Okay, so let's ask. Does anybody in the room have an electroshock device with them? I would take pepper spray as well. An electroshock device somewhere in your handbag? You really? Or are you just mucking around?
Ja, das ist ein Applaus.
A round of applause for the gentleman, nonetheless.
Ja. Ich werf mal das Mikrofon.
Let me throw the mic over to you. Because when somebody says they've got an electroshock device in their bag, there's only one thing I have to ask. One question. Why are you wearing spectacles? No, that wasn't the question. That's nonsense. Why do you have an electroshock device in your bag? We've got to stand in Hall 9 and I'm responsible for security in our hotel.
Das ist wirklich wahr.
It's really true. I'm not making it up.
Alter Schwede. Okay. Ist der jetzt betriebsbereit?
Ja, klar, immer.
And is it functioning? Well, yes, it always is. Can I have a go? Just imagine, here I am at Maritime at the stand. I want to say hello. Psh, there you are.
Sie hat.
Well, why? You didn't have an appointment.
Wie funktioniert?
How does it work?
Okay.
Right. Oh, this is fun. So, what we're going to do together is to create a staging. Which company is this from? It's from Kerbel. It's called Rindertreiber, which may be for driving cattle. That's what the name suggests. Well, watch out if you go to Hall 9 anyway. So we're all from the company Kerbel. We come from an agricultural background, and I'm the product manager. Now we've discovered how it works, and we're going to stage the presentation now. Dear colleagues, a warm welcome to our Kerbel kickoff here in Berlin. Here comes our product manager for our new electroshock device, Bull 5000, Günter Mainka. So, dear colleagues, it's wonderful that all of you from all over Germany have come here to be with us. I've got the great honour to be able to show you something very exciting this evening. It's here at last, our electroshock device from Kerbel, Bull 5000. And this product is one which has a huge advantage. It has an entirely different power behaviour and can hold its charge for much longer. And I'm going to demonstrate that now, and here comes the last row now. I warned you about sitting at the back. No, it's all right, you can relax. Seriously though, joking apart, who's going to volunteer? I know nobody's going to put their hand up. But there's always a motivation when you're at the kick-off. This is true, this is genuine. 50 euros. There's somebody sticking their hand up. Somebody else? Lots of volunteers, and a lady, a gentleman, 4 people. Are you from some kind of SM group? This is Berlin after all. So I think that gentleman over there put his hand up first. So, up to the front with you. A warm round of applause. Go on, up you come.
Okay. So, also hier schon mal den.
So, here's the 50 euros, and your name is? Orban, Louis. Now, I've got an electroshocker here, and I imagine that if they come over to us from Hall 9, they wouldn't be mucking around with this. They'll be serious about it. I'd like to try it out. Now, I don't know, though, exactly how it works, if it's going to really knock you out. Could we perhaps have this lounge furniture? Could you bring us up that nice soft chair? Because this is live. Give us the nice comfortable chair just in case it knocks him over. Mr. Orban, do sit down. Have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. And we're going to do it. We're going to go for it. We really are. I know. But it's not so dramatic. I've got some experience with these things. But €50 is not bad. Yes, my deputy product manager says you don't know the bull 5,000. That's what he was commenting from the off. So, what should we do? So, at your own risk, bull 5,000. So, dear colleagues, give him a round of applause already for being brave enough to give it a try. Fantastic, amazing. So, here we go, live. Your upper arm.
Scheiße.
Oh no! Oh no! Are you okay? It's really rough. Should I give you a hand to get up? The advantage with Bull 5000 is that it recharges so rapidly that it's quite incredible, because you can try again.
Absolute Vorteil.
That is the absolute advantage of Bull 5000. So, dear colleagues, are you convinced by our new product?
Also, wenn man so eine
If you want to do something like this, you don't just need a bull shock device, but you need Paternoster Improvisation Theatre. Stefan, Orban, up they come to the front.
Sie kennt es als Business.
I mean, you know how theatre can work in business, but what can you do with this improvisation theatre? How can you do it so that you get this sensory memory? We're going to do an exercise now. Could we maybe get another microphone up to the front? Because then I wouldn't need to pass the mic backwards and forwards all the time. So what we're going to do? Well, first of all, I'd like to have the electroshocker, because we had actually agreed that it wouldn't be turned on and wouldn't actually work.
Nee, das Thema ist durch. Aber
So let's wind up with that. So the electroshock shock device, everybody remembers that. We're going to do a different kind of anchoring. Now I rolled around on the stage, I fell off the chair. So there's interactive theatre to improvise. So everybody, please get up. Please stand up on your feet. And up you get. Come on, all of you. What kind of feeling do you have when you think about the ITB? Emotions, feelings? Do you speak German? Or somebody from the back, call out. We'll repeat what you said. Holidays! Yes. Yes, that's a good idea. Holidays. So, we're going to have a little extra practice. We're all going to count up to 3. Stefan and me. We're going to go in the middle. 1, and the room will go 2. 1, 2. And if you want to join in German, it's 1 und 2. Anybody who's listening in English, you can also join in German if you want. 1, 2, or 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're not going to take number 2, 2. We're going to take the lovely word holidays, which in German, for those of you who want to take part, is Urlaub. So those of you who are in group 2 are going to say the word for holiday, which is Urlaub. So if I say 2, which means 2, you'll say Urlaub, holiday. Have you got it? So let's do it with a bit of energy. 1, Urlaub, holiday. 3.
1, 3, Urlaub. 1, 3. Ja, genau. Und gleich für die Regeln brechen. Verstanden?
Have you all got that? It's lovely. When you see everybody, it's wonderful. What did you do? What did you do? Well, we did holiday, Urlaub. And it's anchored in your sensory memory. So if somebody says the number 1, eins to you now, you're going to shout out holiday. Think about the way that your children learn. They learn by playing because it's ludic. Are you brave enough to do that at a conference when you want to get a message across? You have to talk to the Director General, in other words, to the boss. But then you can get product information conveyed really well, even to the strangest topics. From psychopharmaceuticals to economics, you can really convey all the message. Let's try again. Let's have another go. Perhaps I can ask you your name. Sonia. And you look funny. Let's ask me what your name is. Marcus. Marcus and Sonia. A big round of applause for them. Up you come onto the stage, the two of you. So we're going to remain interactive. Let's bring the flip chart over here. So, can I ask everyone to remain standing because we're going to anchor the terms in a very special way. We haven't prepared this in advance. Marcus and Sonia are real normal volunteers. They don't know each other either. Not yet. So we're going to have the following exercise. We've got some words which you don't see, but the room will see them. So let's take a look. So here it says, bird's nest. Now those of you who are on the right of the room, you're going to pretend that you're a bird. All of you, please. And the other side of the room is going to pretend that they're a nest. Improvise a nest, please, on the other side of the room. Now Marcus and Sonia don't see this, and they have to guess what it is. They have to guess it's a bird's nest. Yes, they're having trouble with the nest. They're nesting a bit with the nest. So, and you can tell us what you think it is when you've guessed what it is, Sonia and Marcus. Here comes the first term.
Sonnenaufgang.
Sunrise.
Könnte sein.
Regenbogen.
Rainbow. These are the guesses. Something. Shine. The lady appears. You were quite close with the first one. Here's the lady at the front. The Asian-looking lady. Warmth. Moon or sun. And what's on the other side of the room? A sunroof? A sunroof? What do you need a sunroof for in the holidays? A sun... One of what they call in German a sun umbrella, what we call a parasol. So, let's move on to the next level. So, here come the guesses. Love, heart. So, love something. The sleep of love, the slumber of love. There's one guess. Keep guessing. Keep guessing. Well, very nice miming over here, but who knows what it is? Tired? So, love plus something is a German composite term. Love something. Love something. Perhaps all of you could act out the entire thing, the whole word. Let's try the act of love. That's also a good guess. They're doing it. So when do you do it? In the night of love. The love night, as we call it in German. Composite term, night of love. So thank you, Sonia and Marcus. Thank you very much. And that was our group charades. A warm round of applause, please, for Paternoster Improvisation Theatre. I'm pleased. I think if we'd been in Cologne, we'd have had trouble. Some people would have taken their clothes off if we'd been in Cologne. There were some strange movements at the back, people wiggling with their hips. Don't forget, we're live on the internet, and it's before 8 o'clock. Still before the cut-off time. So you can see that products and messages can really be conveyed and staged in a very straightforward way, using very simple methods with cool people like these people from the Improv Theatre. And you can get the driest expressions conveyed, and they'll really stick in your head. The two of you who were up have already swapped phone numbers. They won't forget this event. That's quite clear. They'll say, oh, I was at the ITB and it was great. Yes, that's how it goes.
Wie emotionalisiere ich denn?
How can I put more emotion into my message? This is always an important question. So one possibility that I've already mentioned is to use plot points. And I have a little story about this. So actually start with the joke first. I can tell you this story. So we had this difficult task. We were at a venue where the world is still nice and beautiful. Who of you knows the Tegern Lake in Bavaria? Quite a lot of you. At this lake, the first thing I noticed, and this is no joke, where when you look around, you can only see white and red geraniums on the balconies. And you can look around, and I, as a Prussian, was deeply impressed by that, because it is true. Nothing else, no other colors. So I understood that here at this lake, everything goes according to order. We had a group consisting of Americans and some Germans, about 80 people, and our task was to make them familiar with the region and also with Germany. And with the decisive factor was that we had everything but no big budget. So we had to become creative. So first of all, we set a plot point, and I explained that. In the introduction phase, as we said in the video clip, we said the same. You can sit anywhere but in the back row. And then we did the same thing. By email, we sent the participants some information and prepared them by bits and pieces of information and news. And so they knew that the Tegern Lake is not only beautiful, but it just has a regenerating nature there. The news that we found on the internet, we conveyed them, and we thought that because of the green border there, because Bavaria has several borders that are open now, and we found out that there are bears, wolves, and in the lake we have freshwater sharks. And there were Americans who actually believed that in this group. You read it and you just think, yeah, well, sounds nice. Wolves in Bavaria, okay, bears. Well, we had a bear in Bavaria before, so nothing new. So you just register it and save it somewhere at the back of your mind. But it's not in your sensory memory. It hasn't arrived there yet. This was our plot point that we set. So our guest arrived. What did we do? We're going to show it later on, as we did with Hitchcock as well. We gave the people what they expected. But we did it in an unexpected manner. Meaning we gave them nature. We gave them everything that we expect from Bavaria, but the way that we did it was very special. First of all, we crossed the Tegern Lake by boat. Everybody who was on the boat liked it. It was a kind of a steamboat, and they heard about it, and they enjoyed it. And one on this boat said, all of a sudden, look over there, there's a shark. You saw some light underwater, and some other person shouted, they're feeding them. And all of a sudden you saw a shark fin gliding through the lake majestically from the left to the right, and everybody was following them. And I was hoping that we were not going to capsize, because everybody was moving on to one side. And everybody thought it was incredible. And you also saw some bubbles there, and everybody was taking pictures and taking videos, and it was very important until the fin turned around, and on the back it said, "Welcome, Maritime Hotel people." Well, was it the Marriott or the Best Western Hotel Group? I don't know, but that doesn't matter. But this was a sensory memory, and also setting in next plot point. We said, this is a nice joke. How would we do that? One built the fin using some plastic material, and then we asked somebody else to anybody interested in playing the shark and being a scuba diver, in fact, and pushing this fin across the lake, and everybody liked participating. Everybody understood that, and next morning we had the newspaper with news talking about bears and wolves again, and everybody was thinking, oh yeah, you had this fake shark, and then you will have a fake bear or wolf. But we had this walk through the forest also within our program, so we took the Americans and Germans along with us, walking through the forest, and we were walking past a meadow with a slight uphill. Do you know this commercial in Germany for some cream? And everybody was reminded of the scene in this commercial for the Bärenmarke, which is, it has its name, Bear Brand. And so we had this bear, somebody in costume, with some bucket full of milk running through the forest. But they stumbled, and everybody laughed. And then we got to the next stop, and everybody was looking, and all of a sudden somebody yelled, "There's a wolf there." But the difference here was when you had two fake animals first, and they were thinking that this is another fake wolf, or this is just a dressed-up dachshund. But what they didn't know was that the owner of a cafe also owned a wolf called Orca, and that was a domesticated wolf. And this wolf was in the forests, accompanied by the owner's daughter, and I was talking about that this was the place where there was a sighting of a wolf before, and somebody was yelling that there is a wolf, in fact, and they were walking past, and they were staring at the wolf was staring at us. Everybody looked back, and they froze. Nobody wanted to continue walking. We didn't want to win a battle, but in fact, we didn't have to do anything in the evening. It didn't really matter what we did, because we started with this. We sat some sensory memory, and so they memorize something in their short-term memory, and then in the long-term memory, and then when they come back to the ITB, they will remember who I was, this crazy guy with the wolf. It's the details that are important. People want to be surprised. Just imagine that you go to the cinema, and in front of the cinema, you meet somebody who tells you, and by the way, at the end, the guy will be shot dead by his wife. Nobody wants to know that. We only know that this German crime show is bad. That's what we all know right from the start. But if we are told some spoilers, we're not interested in watching the film. If you remember this art of creating some arc of tension, then this is what makes you successful, when people are excited and they're waiting to see what you can offer them, and then people will come. If you have a stage and a small beamer, well, fair enough, that can also work. But please, be courageous, be brave, use the stage, become a Quentin Tarantino or Ridley Scott. Although the producer, the person above you, CEO or managing director or whatever he's called or she's called, may not have a clue anyway, do it. And this person will be convinced. No matter whether you think that it is good or bad, you will only find out once you do it. The only possibility to find out how many people are good with you, there's always some doubt, especially when something has to do with art, because this is such a broad term. There's nothing that can say this is right or wrong. Just with taste, sometimes with food, you like it or not, no matter whether it's well cooked or not. Together, we cooked up something really good. All of us here know that our new product, the Bull for 5000, is a wonderful gadget. And if you're interested, I can tase you here. So if you want some electroshocks, I could do that for you. I had fun with you. It was a great group, and I'd love to be back with you. Thank you very much.